Hello, hello, hello. The mask is back, and it's Moicano versus Makachev now. Crazy how the event changed. I should have done a video, but it wasn't enough time for me, so let's just get straight into it. I don't got much time, so gotta hurry up with these predictions. Crazy. I was gonna pick Arman, I'm gonna be completely honest. I thought that Arman was gonna graze the back of the ear with a head kick and get the job done against Makachev. But I mean, Arman, he pulled out with a back injury, so we're not going to be able to see that anytime soon. I think he's going to redo the Charles Oliveira fight. I don't know. Maybe Dana will give him the title shot anyway because he was already lined up for the fight and he just pulled out a day ago. So I think that it's either he gets the title shot again or he he fights Charles Oliveira. Now, I think that this one's pretty interesting and competitive, honestly. I don't think that Tagir should be this much of a favorite. I do think he should be a favorite, however, because I actually do think he could get the sub on Clayton Carpenter. Interesting last name. Although, actually, no, that's pretty common, I'm guessing, but I don't really hear Carpenter too often. Um, I think he's quite good. I think I picked him against Rocha. I think his name is Lucas Rocha. I picked him against him, and he did get the technical rear naked choke. So he does have some potential here with his jiu-jitsu and even his grappling, takedowns, wrestling, all that. But I think Tagir is more proven, so I'm gonna go with a decision. I think that the first fight on cards usually are quite boring, to be honest. It's either usually like a first round finish or decision. The first fight on pay per views, especially. So I'm going to go with the decision, I think. Number two, Ricky Tercios versus Brennan Sopauge. I'm going to go with another decision. Sopauge, I think he's going to get it done. He could get the ground and pound in the second or third round, I think. However, a decision is more safer of a bet. Let's just see. I know that okay, Ayman Zahabi was a decision. Yeah, I remember it was like he was mostly just throwing, but he wasn't really landing in that fight. Tercios, I'm referring to, and he had like decent volume, absolutely, but not a lot of it was landing. I heard from someone else it was like 11% of his shots were landing in at least one of the rounds, I think it was. And Brendan Sopauge was winning against Vinicius Oliveira. I think it was close, but I think he was winning that. And Vinicius Oliveira, I'm picking to beat Said Nurmagomedov, which they are fighting down the road, so or down the line. And I think it was the Adesanya Imavov fight card that's coming up. So I'm gonna go with the decision here, although I can see a ground and pound TKO. And yeah, because the volume from Sopauge, I mean not Sopauge, Tercios, it's just nothing. It's like he has a flimsy kick and a flimsy jab, and his grappling is mostly just trying to keep you there with no real ground and pound or threats. He does have that rear naked choke he did on Raul Rosas Jr., but he just couldn't finish it with that chin that Rosas has. Raul Rosas Jr. has a crazy chin, and that's why he didn't get subbed. But I mean, he did have that. He did have a pretty decent rear naked choke against Rosas, but I just think Raul Rosas at that time as well was more new to the game. He's definitely going to improve now, so I think that that was the time to get Raul Rosas Jr. submitted, and I don't think he's gonna. I think that was his one and only chance, and he just so happened to get him there. I don't think he'll be able to get Brendan Sopauge there. Anyway, Rinya Nakamura, Murin Gafarov. I mean, yeah, I think that there are some people that are picking Murin Gafarov. I've heard some YouTubers say that they're picking Murin Gafarov because they're not impressed with Rinya Nakamura. I'm actually gonna go with a sub, even though these past few times I've picked him by sub and he's been getting it by decision, which isn't the most impressive, obviously. Yeah, I mean those past two guys I picked by sub and he didn't manage to get it, but I think this will be the one. I think that Murin Gafarov is gonna have decent moments even on the feet, and I think that Rinya Nakamura is gonna lock in a sub while Murin Gafarov overextends on a punch maybe, or he is getting taken down and controlled, and then he tries to get up with a burst of energy and he messes up just enough for Rinya Nakamura to get the back or get some other position, a very dominant position or a decent submission or armbar, anything like that. Rear naked choke, obviously. I could see a lot of subs for Rinya Nakamura, so I'm gonna say a sub in the maybe third round. I'm gonna say. I just think he's way better on the ground. And then Aylin Perez versus Carl Rosa. I really hope that Aylin Perez loses because she's a degenerate and she should not be, um, doing what she does on the not press conferences, weigh-ins, and she should not be doing that on her opponents as well. If you know, you know what I'm talking about. She should not be like it's just kind of weird what she does after she wins and after the weigh-ins. It's just I don't think it's very respectful. I don't think it's very decent. So I hope she loses. And Carl Rosa, I think that she has way better kicks. I think she's able to keep it on the feet, and I think that she could even get a late finish as well, similar to some of these other guys down here, like Brennan Sopauge, with the ground and pound. I don't think that Carl Rosa is going to get ground and pound though. I think if anything, it would be by a leg kick TKO because I did see against what was it again? It was her last loss, Irene Aldana. Yeah, that's right. Against her, she was mastering those leg kicks. She was absolutely destroying the legs. So I'm gonna say a decision, but I could totally see a TKO with the leg kicks. And moving on, we have Grant Dawson versus Diego Ferreira. This is an interesting one. Now, Grant Dawson has shown a decent ability now to actually find the finish. He clearly wants it. It's just a matter of if his opponents are low level enough for him to find it. Because Rafa Garcia, even though it was a decent finish by ground and pound, it was Rafa Garcia, and he isn't quite to the level of a Bobby Green or Diego Ferreira, for example. Now, Diego Ferreira, even though he did show great takedown defense by the last three opponents that he lost to, Beneil Dariush, Gregor Gillespie, and Mateusz Gamrot. Mateusz Gamrot won. I heard some other people say it's fluky, and it was in a sense. Although Mateusz, I think I think it was close, but I don't think that Mateusz wasn't dominating. Yeah, but um, he was in control in that moment that the finish happened. It just so happened that I believe in the rib area, Diego Ferreira had an injury at that moment, so he just couldn't continue there, and he's going to be exactly 40 on the night of the fight. So it's like a 10-year almost year gap. That's not good. Listen, Grant Dawson is comparable to Gamrot and Gillespie and Dariush in certain senses because they're all great grapplers as well in their own right. And Diego Ferreira, he is decent as well, really good at getting back to his feet, and he impressed me against Rumbeski, Mateusz Rumbeski, with the fact that he was able to get back to his feet. But we saw that eventually, um, Grant Dawson is able to find controlling, comfortable positions, and I thought that it was a risky pick, but I picked Grant Dawson against Demir Ismagulov, and I think that Demir can replicate certain things that Diego Ferreira can, although a little bit worse takedown defense because Grant Dawson actually looked more impressive against Demir than Arman. So, and Arman is looked at as a really good grappler, and some people even say first or second best wrestler in the division. And I know that grappling and wrestling are different, similar and different. They're the same and different in a weird way. But I think that Arman doing I know that this is a bit of an MMA math sort of analogy, but I think that Arman doing better or doing worse against Demir than Grant shows that Grant has really, really, really good back takes, ground control, and I think that he's going to secure at least two of the rounds. I'm going to say 29-28. I think that Diego is going to land some good shots in either the third or first round. Or Diego, yeah, Diego. Diego's going to land some decent shots. Now, Bogdan Gushkov versus Billy Alekena. I think that Billy Alekena is decent from what I've seen and from his record, but I mean, I just don't like that he's taking this on a week's notice. This is the main thing. I think that if he was actually coming off of a win in the UFC and he's actually shown that he can hang at the top of the division in the UFC, in the highest caliber, then I'd be like, okay, well, there's some interesting discussions to be had. Like if he beat a Ovince St. Preux or a Ryan Spann, these types of guys, there is a discussion to be had. Like, oh, maybe he can compete with Bogdan Gushkov. But I think that Bogdan is going to land one of these weird uppercuts on him, and he's just going to stun him and not allow him to recover really. So I'm going to say that the even though Bogdan is decent, I'm not going to say that it's really due to him being miles ahead in skill. I'm going to say that it's mainly due to the short notice 1 week aspect of this. And you're going to see why I pick who I do in the main event in this regard as well. So I'm going to go with probably a second round, first round KO. I'm going to say first round. Although I can see Bogdan, get rocked early on because even in all of his wins, it seems like he gets rocked a little bit. So, I mean, that's obviously due to him relying on head movement because he has his hands low most of the time, but it works for his style, because you don't see the uppercuts, you don't see the hooks. It's interesting. And the jabs, even, sometimes they're kind of hard to see. So I'm going to say first round KO, although I could see second round. Zach Reese versus Bekoyev. I don't know why he's such a huge underdog, like for Asmat being in shorter notice than Alakana, Billy Alakana. I don't understand. Why is he like almost 2-1? It seems like almost. It's just kind of crazy as well. Like Tapology fans are having it more close, and rightfully so. I think that the height and reach is going to play a massive factor for Zach Reese. I think he's going to get a decision. He could get a late finish as well. I could see like a round 3 TKO, just accumulative damage. I could see that. I really could. But I'm going to say a decision because I just think that he's not really. Like, Azamat is decent. And even though he's taking this on short notice, he did look fit for this. He did look ready. And Zach Reese, against Julian Marquez, sure, he got a finish, right? But that's the only real guy that's notable that he got a finish. Like, these other guys, I mean, they're not really. These last two guys before then, they're not really names. They're not really. Like, I think Azamat would beat those two guys as well. I think Zach Reese is going to mostly just use his range to his advantage and secure 2 or 3 rounds. I could see two 30-27 scorecards and a 29-28. Moving on, we have Peyton Talbot versus Raoni Barcelos. Sergey Spivak. He's a great fighter on the main card now. I just noticed. Crazy. Crazy how Benil can't get an opponent. But, I mean, he got his show money. Anyway, yeah, I mean, Peyton Talbot, round 2 TKO. I mean, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, am I wrong for picking this? Literally everyone else is. I mean, I like to pick underdogs. You know that. I mean, even though I was super biased in picking this, and it was a super dumb pick, I picked Stipe Miocic versus John Jones. I picked Stipe because I thought that he had a good style, but he was way past his prime, and for some reason, just the idea that everybody was picking John Jones and I would be the one that was right got to me, I guess, and I was like, oh, I have to pick this old retiring Stipe. It was a bad move, but I mean, I'm not picking Ronnie Barcelos here. I'm not going to be like that with this matchup because Peyton Talbot is good. He's really good in the boxing. Peyton Talbot. I might have said Ronnie Barcelos. But Ronnie Barcelos himself is also decent in those areas as well, but he's nowhere near as good, and he doesn't have that good of a chin. He was getting rocked in his last win. Now, he did find the win. It was a finish, but even before then, Umar Nurmagomedov and other guys as well on the losses that he's had, he's gotten rocked and he's gotten hurt. So I think that Peyton Talbot, he's just got a much fresher chin. And even though they're decently comparable in the boxing and in the striking as a whole, I do think that Peyton Talbot is much more calm and powerful. And I think that he's going to use that patience to his advantage, finding the straight shots when Ronnie Barcelos tries to counter with the looping shots. I'm sounding like Weasel here. Straight shots beat looping shots. Is that what he says? I think it's straight beats looping. But, yeah. Weasel 2.0. Nah, I don't want to be like Weasel. The Dutch Knight versus Trailblazer. This is a really interesting one. This is honestly the most interesting one for me. I go so back and forth on this one because I honestly think that Kevin Holland, he could literally just teep and jab to a decision if Rainer de Ritter cannot get this to the ground. This is so interesting if Rainer de Ritter cannot get this to the ground early. Now, I do think that Rainer de Ritter, seeing him get a third round submission against Gerald Meerschaert, it does seem to me that he does have the submissions, the energy, the cardio in the later rounds, in the later parts of the fights, that even when he's getting pieced up by a freaking Gerald Meerschaert, that he can make it to the end to find a sub later on. Okay? I do think that he can make it survive the onslaught and then find a sub later on. But I'm going to say that Kevin isn't takedown defense strong enough. I think that he does have some good chokes. I think the Darce will work on Rainer de Ritter. I think it can. I can totally see that. I can totally see him jabbing and teeping to a decision. And I'm so close to picking him because he's even a slight underdog. But seeing how he handled Roman Dolidze, like Roman Dolidze is really good, but Roman Dolidze was even doing okay on the feet. And Roman Dolidze isn't that good. Now, okay, Roman Dolidze also kind of pieced up Anthony Smith, but Anthony Smith isn't that great either. And maybe we're missing something here because Roman Dolidze was also doing okay against what is it, Nasruddin Imavov. But I just think that Roman Dolidze isn't that good on the feet. He just mostly swings big midi hooks. So I'm going to have to go with the round 2 sub. I think that he's going to go through some adversity. He's definitely going to get teeped to the body and hurt a little bit as well with some jabs. And I can see some slapping hooks from Kevin Holland. And he's going to try some subs if he gets taken down in the first round. But ultimately, I think that in the second round, he's just going to be too top heavy, Rainer de Ritter. And I don't think that he's felt that pressure. 6'4", somebody that's actually comparable to his height and reach and size. I don't think that a grappler like that is gonna be chucked off of Kevin Holland easily. And so I think that he's gonna use his chop pressure and his jiu-jitsu to his advantage. So I'm gonna go with a submission in the second for Rainer de Ritter. And now we're getting to the main card. Well, actually, it already was. Oh man, Sergey Spivak and Jailton Almeida. He's a great fighter. He's gonna lose though. Sergey Spivak's gonna lose. I hope he wins though, because he actually did look good on the scales. He did look good making weight. He actually looks leaner. He's actually weighing in less than Jailton Almeida here, you'll see. And I do think that he's a decent underdog, absolutely. Especially with those odds, I do think that they should be more closer to like a 270 instead of a 470 for Jailton Almeida, a minus 270. But I think that the athleticism is just too much. I think that Sergey Spivak is really good with the jiu-jitsu. I think that he's definitely top 5 in the division with jiu-jitsu. I think he's maybe number 4 or 5 with the jiu-jitsu, probably 5, but he's still really decent. I mean, even though he got taken down by Marcin Tybura, which is a very not not nice thing to see if you're looking to pick Sergey Spivak. Getting taken down by Marcin Tybura. Now, I understand that Marcin Tybura is underrated, but he did, he isn't an athletic specimen like Jailton Almeida is. And so, yes, he found the armbar in that fight, but, Jailton Almeida has some very athletic takedowns. He almost Hamzat Chimaev-like. Now, yes, he got ground and pounded by, what was it, Curtis Blades, and he didn't like the pressure of it, so he kind of wilted there, but it was, Curtis Blades, and Curtis Blades, he has much better hands, let's be honest. Sergey Spivak, he is usually just going to throw wild hooks or a jab that's kind of flimsy, not really damaging in any way, shape, or form. He usually just relies on getting the ground and pound off or the rear naked choke or the arm bar, things like that. And I just don't see him getting that on Jailton Almeida. Maybe Jailton Almeida is just soy, and he's not going to get it here. But I think that it's going to be similar to the Alexander Romanov fight. I'm going to say, instead of round 1 sub, though, I'm going to say round 2, because he got round 1 against Romanov. Almost forgot the name there. I was like Alexander something something Romanov. I do think he's a decent underdog, though. I just think that, this is another one where it's like you'd have to be a little bit like You'd have to be pretty risky picking Spivak here. I don't know why I almost picked him there. I just realized. Yeah, submission in round 2. I think that he's going to get the rear naked, maybe. Um, Jamal Hill, Yuri Prohaska. Now, I don't agree with how many people are picking Prohaska here. I think that it's very 50-50, although I'm leaning towards Prohaska because, again, straight punches beating looping. It's similar to the Ronnie Barcelos versus Peyton Talbot. I really do think that Yuri Prohaska is going to land these 1-2s down the middle, and it's going to really rock Jamal Hill, and it's going to be similar to Alexander Rakic in a sense, except I do think that Yuri is not going to have as much of a problem with the leg kicks because I don't think Jamal Hill throws them nearly as effectively as a Rakic or a Pereira. I think that he's going to have a harder time getting in on the boxing in the pocket. I do think that's going to be hard for Yuri Prohaska. I think Jamal Hill is going to counter him a little bit, but I don't think he has nearly the same power as Pereira. I think that Jamal Hill has historically been more of a combination punching guy, and I think that Yuri is closer to his prime. Yes, he got rocked really, really, really badly and knocked out really badly against Pereira, but I think that Jamal Hill is style-wise, I do think that he does not defend that well against the 1-2, and I think that that is going to be his detriment. So I think that it's going to be quite decisively in the second round. It's going to be like an avalanche. Jamal Hill is going to have some really decent success in the first round, but I think that it's going to be detrimental if Jamal Hill backs up to the fence and he gets rocked because Yuri Prohaska is going to see blood. So I'm going to say, a round 2 TKO for Yuri. For Yuri, not Hill, not Jamal Hill. But I like them both. I don't want to see either of them lose. Louvre? What? What is with my pronunciation? I don't get it. I do not want to see either of them lose, but I like Yuri more, as you could tell by my updated profile picture by now. Maybe in the future you won't know what I'm talking about, but if you see my video now, you'll know what I mean. Yeah, round 2. And I think that this one is closer than people are saying, seeing it. Although I do think that Arman and Islam Makhachev was more competitive than this one, to be honest. I was surprised to see that it was only around 15% that were picking Arman, and then 33% were picking Merab. I like Merab as well. Merab and Yuri are some of my favorite fighters. That's why I changed my profile picture to show both of them as of right now. But it's just not stylistically a good matchup. I'm going to say a 49-46 for Umar. I think his kicks are insane. The fact that they are almost as fast as a jab, it's crazy. I think that the height and reach, ever so slightly going to Umar, I think that's going to be crazy because the boxing I actually think is very close, but the kicks, Umar can keep it on the kicking range. He can keep it at a kickboxing range at moments, and if Merab tries to come in close, I do think that Umar has the stronger power. So even though the boxing's close, Merab is just going to have to do some Hail Mary, praying that he wings the right shot at him, that he throws the 1-2 a little bit more faster, with a little more emphasis, more power, more speed, more energy, because Umar, I think, genetically has more power. I think that Merab, he's going to need to rely on having that cardio advantage to have the 1-2 go down the pipe quicker. And I think that he's going to have to rely on hugging against the fence like Jose Aldo fight, because the Jose Aldo fight, it was, as you know, against the Jose Aldo, it was against the fence a lot. It was mostly just kneeing the thigh. Umar, I don't think that he'll be able to go off the fence as offensively as, or no, I'm gonna say that, yeah, I think that he won't be able to get off the fence as efficiently as not Sean, definitely not Sean O'Malley. He's definitely gonna be better than Sean, but I think that Jose Aldo has a better cage defense there, even though he gets kind of stuck there sometimes. I do think that it's close, so I think that there is a path to victory in kneeing the thigh like that, but I don't like what Merab is saying with, oh, I'm going to strike with him on the feet and all this and that. It could be just mind games, but I don't really like that. So I'm going to say Umar as well, he could get the takedowns, he could get the back and just secure rounds off that. I think that Merab is going to survive the back takes, absolutely. He's definitely working with Aljo on that, but I don't see it being beneficial for him to stay on the ground like that. I think that Nurmagomedov is the more complete grappler, so I'm going to say he can take the back, he can secure rounds like that, he can secure rounds with his kicks, he can even arguably win in the boxing. So I'm going to say a 49-46, maybe a 48-47 in there. It could be closer than that, but I don't know, man. I think Umar, his toughest matchup is maybe, honestly, a Song Yadong. I think Pyotr Yan, I mean, is up there, but I actually think Song Yadong is a harder matchup. So decision. And Islam Makhachev. This is really fun. I really hope that Renato Moicano gets it done. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna win, motherfucker. Um, I hope he wins. That was a bad impression. Guru does better impressions of Moicano. I think that he's gonna actually show some decent things on the ground in the first round. I think he's gonna maybe go for an armbar and somehow actually nearly get it. I think he's gonna go for it on the feet. I think he's gonna land some decent kicks, a decent jab. But against Benoit, who is nowhere near the grappler that Makhachev is, he was he had a decent jab, but aside from that, and he had a level change into a hook. But aside from that, like Benoit was in my opinion winning the striking in the second round, and that was because he was staying away from these large telegraphed kicks, powerful telegraphed kicks that would get him caught into the grappling exchanges and get Moicano, give Moicano his back. It was these moments that made Benoit lose. And I think that against Islam Makhachev, he's not going to give him these opportunities. Makhachev's not going to give him that. I think that he's going to. I think he's going to KO him in the second round. I really hope Moicano. Money Moik. I hope he gets it done. But let me tell you something. Money Moicano is going to come back from this, okay? I don't know, what was that? What was that? I sounded like I was about to sob. I mean, it really does feel like that. It feels like a freaking funeral for Moicano here because I don't see how he wins this aside from a Diego Lopez thing, a Diego Lopez Movsar Evloev type of thing where he just is losing from the control on the ground and ground and pound, but then he gets a Hail Mary leg lock or a armbar. Other than that, I don't see how Moicano wins. I don't think he has the power. I don't think that he'll drop Makhachev. And I think that Makhachev's way more dangerous on the feet. He has good feints, good kicks, good boxing now we see. Good trips, good clinch work, good knees. It's the complete package. So I'm going to say that Moicano shows a really close armbar, but then ultimately Makhachev takes over. I really don't like having to pick all of freaking Team Habib, but I'm gonna have to do it. They're too good. I mean, it's just the truth. They're too good. Anyway, Masked MMA out.